The sole purpose of this video is to provide a basic overview and orientation of your new apparatus. This video is not intended to act as or replace individualized driver-operator training. Individual fire departments may base guidelines, policies, and procedures tailored for best practices. Pierce Manufacturing and Hughes Fire Equipment representatives are not liable for injuries caused from acts resulting from actions inconsistent with the information provided within this video and/or accompanying manuals. Refer to the Operation and Maintenance Manual for complete details relating to the components and features of this apparatus. Only trained personnel should operate this vehicle or perform maintenance. You are responsible for learning how to operate this fire apparatus under all conditions without having to refer to the manual while operating at an emergency incident. This video will discuss types of warnings and caution labels. It is your responsibility to locate and identify each of the labels and understand the importance and associated hazards. Warning labels will point out procedure that must be taken or action that must be avoided to guard against the possibility of serious injury or death. Caution labels will advise you that there is a risk of damage to property if certain precautions are not followed. Continuous training, reviewing of operation and service manuals, developing good standardized practices will assist driver operators with a more complete understanding of the components and operation of this fire apparatus. As the driver operator of this vehicle, you are responsible for understanding the function of each component of the apparatus, maintaining control of the fire apparatus at all times while in operation, make operational and functional changes while operating at an emergency without having to read operator's instructions or safety warning labels, operate manual override and emergency shutdown procedures immediately if a component fails to operate properly. Components location may vary with each Pierce fire apparatus. Review the exact location of each component prior to operation. Major inconsistencies between your vehicle and the information contained in this video should be directed to your sales representative. Safe operation of any vehicle is the responsibility of the driver operator. You must learn the location and function of all controls, switches, gauges, valves, inlets, and discharges. Due to a higher center of gravity, heavy trucks have a significantly higher rollover tendency than other types of vehicles. To reduce the risk of rollover, avoid making sharp turns, excessive speed, and avoid abrupt maneuvers. In the event of a rollover crash, an unbelted person is significantly more likely to become injured or die than a person wearing a seatbelt. In the event of a crash, unbuckled occupants can also become a hazard to other occupants as they may be thrown around inside the cab. Seatbelts are required while in operation. Please refer to your warranty certificates for details and information enclosed in your manuals. Customer-installed equipment must be mounted to withstand road travel and comply with NFPA 1901. Modifications such as drilling holes or welding to structural frame components of the chassis are not permitted. Contact Pierce for instruction and review of non-structural sheet metal or other dissimilar metals for modification. Follow the radio installation guide for further assistance on installing or mounting electronics. Before placing your new apparatus into service, perform a primary inspection of key components of the apparatus, including all fluid levels, anti-lock braking systems, electronic stability control, and automatic traction control. Weigh your apparatus to ensure that it conforms to axle and brake ratings. Never exceed the gross axle rating printed on the label inside the cab. Exceeding these ratings could lead to reduced component life, personal injury, or death. Review the use of auxiliary braking systems, compression brake, exhaust brake, electronic retarder, and hydraulic retarder. Before placing the apparatus in service, refer to the operational maintenance manuals. Information on the operation and maintenance functions for the components such as the pump, pressure governor, and foam systems, along with other options, is provided in either the Pierce manuals and/or other manufacturer support information delivered with the apparatus. If you need more information, please contact Hughes Fire Equipment. Congratulations, Franklin County Fire District, on your new apparatus, job number 31168. Please utilize this job number when referencing your vehicle with Hughes Fire Equipment. Let's get started on orientation of your new apparatus. Starting just under the front bumper, you'll find a right and left open-ended tow hook. Moving just on top, you'll find wrapped around white reflective material. In addition, within the very center, your apparatus assignment number T101. Moving over to the driver's side, you'll find a mechanical siren. Moving just off to the right of that, you'll find your electronic siren. Generalized view of the cab of your apparatus. It's a Kenworth cab. Let's talk about some of the components. Located on the front of the cab, you'll find a right and left air horn. Moving down from that location, you'll find these lights, which are emergency warning lights on the right and left. On the actual fender itself, you'll find on the right and left turn signals. Moving down just beneath that area, this is a latch mechanism for opening the cab and latching it in the locked position. On the right, you'll find this air intake location. And also just forward of that, you'll find your additional right-sided air horn, and also the warning light located just underneath that. Let's go ahead and take a look at the headlight cluster. You'll find on your headlight cluster two lights. The outer light is your low beam headlight, and the inner light will be your high beam headlights. Moving to the front of the grille of the apparatus, you'll find two emergency warning lights. Here's a generalized view of the rim and tire. On the driver's side, you'll find your fuel tank. It has steps to gain access to the cab with illumination underneath. Located on the left side, you'll find the access point for fill of your diesel fuel. There are also some warning labels in this area. Please take a look at those. Moving to the very far section here, or far right, you'll find your blue DEF cap here for your DEF fuel. This is the warning label I was referring to, and you also have a fuel alert regarding the use of ultra low sulfur diesel fuel for your apparatus. On the right hand side, just inside the cab, you'll find some warning labels here and caution labels. Please take a look at those. But let's talk a little bit about this yellow placard. This is your information from Pierce Manufacturing. This has information on it for your manufacturer for the date of manufacture, October of 2017. It also has your job number, in addition with gross vehicle weight ratings. This plaque also offers information on the tire sizes, front and rear gross vehicle weight ratings, in addition with the tire inflation information. At the very bottom, you'll find the VIN number, and on the left-hand side, you'll find the variety of different fluid capabilities and capacities here. There are the types and brands that are required. On the seat itself, you'll find E-flate, D-flate for your seat, in addition with lumbar support. Located just underneath this, you'll find your 12-volt auto charge system. This is when you're attached to shore power. To the right of that, the silver knob, this is going to be the battery master switch, quarter turn. And let's go ahead and take a look in the cab. Just over the head, you'll find a variety of different compartments, in addition with this pull rope for your air horns. Down on the left side, you're going to find the ignitions for accessory on, off, and start. In addition with the far right, this is the on-off for your illumination for dash lights. Left and right hand side, you have future locations for future switches, but let's move up onto the very top section here. This is about mid-knee height. This is the dome light switch, in addition with an engine fan and two additional future switches in this location also. Let's move up to the very top at some of the clusters here on the gauges. On the very far left, you'll find your voltage meter. Moving just opposite of that side, you'll find your water temperature. And moving up to the very top gauge, you'll find your oil pressure. The gauge that is currently blank, if you choose to add, this would be a good location for that. Let's move to the center cluster. You'll find your tachometer, and to the right of that, you'll find the speedometer. In the lower section of both the tach and the speed are digital informations that can apply to your apparatus. Down at the very bottom, you'll find this black placard here. Very important. This is your height, length, and gross vehicle weight rating. It also offers your job number on that as an additional location. Moving up to the very top, these are going to be illuminated when there becomes an issue or at startup when you're checking all of your lights. And in the very center, you'll find an additional digital readout in this location. On the very far right-hand side, the small button is what controls the menu system and scrolling through those. Let's move to the very far right, generalized view of this. We'll talk a little bit about some of the components within this area. Starting on the left, you're going to find your running lights, parking lights, and also your driving lights. Let's take a look at some of the gauges. On the left, you're going to find your primary air brake. Moving down from that, you'll find your secondary air brake. Moving just to the right, this is your fuel gauge, and then you'll find just below that, this is your brake application. Moving further to the right in the very center, you'll find this red flashing light. If the apparatus has a compartment door open, this is where it will indicate that. Upper right-hand corner, transmission temperature, and just beneath that, this is your air filter indication. Moving to the right of that also is your DEF level. This is going to be your Pierce information for seat belts. Red indicating the seat is occupied but not belted. Green indicated that the belt is sitting there and in use. This is going to be your regen for starting your regeneration. Future switch again, and you have 3 additional future switches below. Moving downward, the knobs, these are going to be your control knobs for your climate control. You can see on the very far left, blue and red for heat and cool. And to the right-hand side, the location is to the venting you choose to have that air come out of. Upper left-hand corner, this is your hazard lights. Engine information for utilizing your cruise control. Increase and decrease for cruise control. Right-hand side, you'll find your cruise control on-off. Moving over to the next switch over, this is for setting or resuming your cruise control once it has either hit the brake or you're initially setting. And also your tire pressure. The yellow handle here, this is a pull to apply your parking brake, push to release for your main brakes. Moving up for the top, this is going to be your differential locks. This indicator picture clearly depicts what they are. You have a single lock and then you have a double locker. Generalized view of the center console between the passenger and driver's seat. Let's talk about some of the components there. This is your air actuated pump shift. Once you've stopped the truck and switched the transmission to neutral, move the lever down, apply the service brakes, and shift the transmission to drive. Moving to the left-hand side, let's talk about some of the components here. You have first a master switch for all your emergency lights, a roof light, front warning, side warning, rear warning, upper rear warning, and also the master dump for your tank. Let's go ahead and move down to the next set of switches just beneath this. This is going to be your mechanical siren or your electronic siren. In the red switch, your siren brake. Moving to the right, you have a driver scene, passenger scene, rear scene, your load manager, and then your high idle engage switch in red at the very end. Moving down from this location, you'll find indication lights. This is indicating if it's on, your ladder rack is down, folding tank rack, you have a door ajar, your battery on, low voltage, and okay to engage the high idle. Down from this set of switches, you'll also find your rear dump valve. It also has an indicator switch for open and also for closed. And then you also have a deck gun that has the ability to be raised above the cab. This would be the indicator light for that. You also have USB ports, a 2.1 amp. There are 2 of those and 3 additional future switches. Located at the very top for your electronic siren and also PA control. Located in the center are your map book storage locations or pre-plan. Let's go ahead and talk in general terms here. This is going to be the cross lays. We'll talk about those components in a minute. You have a front cross lay, which is cross lay 1 and cross lay number 2. In the very center here, this is a light indicating the amount of water that's in your tank from top green all the way down to red. We'll talk about these next components here in the gray area. We'll also talk about some of the components in the very center regarding the pressure volume. We're also going to talk about all of your discharge gauges located in this area. And in the next section down, we'll talk about the next close-ups here for these areas. We broke those down into 3 individuals, but let's start in the upper left-hand corner. And we'll start first with this set of switches and gauges. As you can see, the arrow currently pointing is pointing to your large diameter intake, and the others were the discharge valves. The very lowest portion here is going to be the 2.5-inch auxiliary intake. Let's start back up in the upper left-hand corner. Cross lay number 1 in yellow and cross lay number 2 in gray. Once again, close up of your tank level. Let's start first in this corner in the left-hand side once again. Starting in this corner, you're going to find a placard. This placard is in regard to 1, your job number, and the test pressures for 150, 200, and 250 psi, associated speeds, and also pump pressures. Let's move to the right. This is going to be your master intake, master discharge. This also is a location for the 2 small locations for your test port for vacuum and pressure. Moving to the right of that, you'll find this, and we'll talk a little bit about this in detail. This is your Pierce pressure or throttle control. Let's start in the upper left-hand corner. You'll find this indicator, check engine. It is an amber light. In the center, you'll find a digital readout for your RPMs, and to the right, you'll find a red if on, stop engine light. Moving down, you'll find your menu button in orange. It allows you to scroll through the various menus. Located across the very center, you'll find your oil, temperature, additional information regarding transmission and batteries, and also in red, a audible silence button here to silence any audible alarm. Down at the very left corner, you'll find your pressure and RPMs for throttle. Those are indicator lights once you've selected those, and then a digital readout for that information displayed between the 2. Before you increase the throttle, make sure you have this throttle ready light in the on position, and you can choose to select presets, which is the green button, prior to utilizing the throttle increase down at the very bottom. On the right, large black device, you'll find this is an audible alarm speaker. Let's talk about these set of switches. At the very top, you'll find your panel lights, an indication light for your pump engaged, driver and passenger side seen, and at the top and bottom, future locations for additional switches. Let's move over and talk about some of the valves. You have the number 1 and number 2 crosslay in yellow and in the white color. Those are the ones that are directly above this set of valves. To the right, you'll find your deluge discharge in pink. This is a wheel style gauge. Shows you open and closed, and then the pressure gauge right next to it on the right-hand side. Moving over to these 2 chromed and black levers here, or turn valves, engine cooler and recirculating line. These are quarter turn on and off. To the right, you'll find this pull-out tank to fill or recirculating line. And just over to the right and up from this location is an additional tank level for your water level. Green full all the way down, yellow to red empty or need to be refilled. Generalized view here once again of the center of that large diameter, same concept or wheel. This is for the passenger side large diameter discharge. Moving down from that location, you're going to find the driver's side rear discharge in addition with your tank to pump. Let's move all the way to the left-hand side. This is going to be for an air inlet. Moving just to the right, this is a generalized view of all of the components in the lower third of your pump panel. Let's talk about those components next. Starting in the upper left-hand corner, you have number 1 and number 3. So this is your driver's side discharge and number 3 driver's side discharge. These are the valve components for those individuals, 1, 2, and 3. You can see the odd or passenger, even or driver. In the center behind this eagle and American flag is your large diameter intake. Just to the right of that, you're going to find your shore inlet. This is a 20 amp auto eject plug. What that indicates is when you actually energize power to the rig, it will actually kick out your extension cord plug-in. Let's talk about this access door. This is for your manual hydraulic rack. There is a pump inside here that's for manual use. This is in case you have some sort of a mechanical failure with that rack, and that's what this is for here. There is instructions just on the inside of this door. Let's move just to the right of that. This is your driver's side auxiliary inlet. It is a 2.5 inch inlet. Let's move further to the right of that and just up a little bit. You'll find the pump drain and also your manual pump shift. Moving down just beneath this area, you'll find a variety of different discharges. You have your number 2 crosslay. You have your driver's side inlet. This is the air bleed for that. And then moving across the very bottom, you'll find the rest of the discharge drains for number 1, number 3, and number 2. Let's go ahead and move just up a little bit above that. You're going to find this Watrous red and black plaque. This indicates the type of pump and transmission and the information on capacity and also the serial number and ratio for your pump. Generalized view of the side of your apparatus. This is the driver's side. Let's take a look at some of the compartments within this area. Let's start at the very bottom under the front. You'll find these 2 foldable wheel chocks located here. Moving into this compartment, we'll talk about some of the components here, but first let's take a look. You have a pull-out shelf. You also have 2 additional fixed shelves that are adjustable. At the very top of this compartment, you'll find your auto charging system for your battery charger. This is for when you're plugged into shore power. There are also 2 LED portable lights. This is the 20 amp outlet power for that battery charger. Moving just to the right, this is going to be an additional equipment rack hydraulic reservoir. This is for your ladder rack. The rear section is outfitted with tandem axles. You have Bridgestone tires in the front and rear. Let's go ahead and move up above this location to the center storage compartments. There are 2 compartments outfitted exactly the same in this location, 1 front and 1 rear. There is additional storage ability within this compartment for your SCBAs. Let's go ahead and move further back to the very rear compartment. You'll find in this compartment a mid-level adjustable shelf. Generalized view of the rear of your apparatus and the side. Let's talk a little bit about the ladder rack at the very top. You have some emergency warning lights, side facing and rear facing. And at the very bottom, this is going to be the mechanism latch that allows you to lower, when it's released, your ladder rack. Generalized view of the rear of your apparatus. We'll talk about some of the components. First, starting in the lower left, you have the reverse, turn, brake, and an emergency warning cluster lights. In the off side here to the right, you're going to find switches there for your rear scene and also to activate the rear jump valve. As you can see on the left, there are a variety of different warning labels. Please take note of those. And as we look in the very far left, this is going to be a 2.5 inch intake. Just above that, you have your rear discharge, 2.5 on the driver's side. Located in the center between the 2 reverse lights, you'll find your backup camera. You're also going to find an additional water level indicator in this location. And at the very bottom center, this will be the distribution point for your rear dump. Just beneath that rear dump, you'll find an additional diamond plate storage cover here. And just behind that, you have additional storage in this location.
Let's go ahead and take a look at the right and left. Just to the right and left of that smaller diamond-plated door, you'll find tow hooks. They are closed black tow hooks that face to the rear. Just above that, on the outer section, you'll find an additional right and left side deck lights and hose bed lights. You can see this is the right-hand side cluster for your reverse turn, brake, and emergency light. Let's go ahead and move up to the very top. You also have fold-down steps and also fixed steps, and at the very top, a rear-facing light. At the very top, you have your grab handles to gain access to this area, and also, if looking at the very top, you have a dividable hose bed which can move in any direction you choose. This is also the location of your tank fill. This is not a latched tank. At the very top here, generalized view of your ladder rack with some ladders on top. We'll talk a little bit more about those. Looking forward mid-cab, this is just above your pump panel. You'll find the access for your deck gun. Generalized view of the rear and passenger side. At the very top, you'll find some rear-facing lights in addition with some warning lights and also some side scene lights. This is going to be the side that houses your porta-tank. This is a porta-tank that is electronic that pulls down. But first, let's talk about the two lower compartments on the front and rear of your rear axle. These compartments are two compartments that have a first door mechanism and a second door mechanism, which allow you to gain access to both. There is a black latch just on the inside. In between the rear wheels, you'll find that emergency light. Generalized view once again of your Bridgestone M799s. Just a little information on the two front and rear compartments. Once one door is open, reach inside and grab the black handle, move up or down, will gain access to both compartments in their full upright open position. This is going to be displayed currently in the down position for your portable tank. Moving just forward of that location, you can see the attachment point and also your center pump mount. We'll talk about some of the components here. Let's start out at the very bottom of this, just above the diamond plate step. You'll find your drains across the very bottom. Moving up from that location, you can see this is the deluge, large diameter, and number 2 passenger. You can see just from that area, this is number 1 and your auxiliary passenger side inlet. This is that auxiliary passenger side inlet, which is a 2.5-inch inlet. You're also going to find a variety of just large diameter intake and discharge, and also a 2.5-inch discharge. This is the number 2 because it's on the passenger side. This is your discharge, 2.5-inch. This is the large diameter, which has a Storz coupling on the end of it. As we move over to the left side, you'll find this access door. Behind this access door, you'll find the ability to change your relief valve through this gold bolt. This is also the location of your powered equipment rack for your portable tank, and a generalized access location to the center of your pump area. Looking up just at the very top mid-cab area, just behind the cab, this is your number 2 and number 1 crosslay. You also have a step in this area which has a step light, and just to the right of that you'll find your tank indicator, green being full, red flashing nearly empty or empty. In the center area you'll find you have a hard storage cover here, in addition with the access to the deluge, which has an extendable pipe on that. In the center you're going to find a rear facing floodlight for use for deck light or work light. Generalized view of the side of your apparatus of your cab, in addition with the step, and also let's talk a little bit about some of the mirrors that you have. You have on the right and left side a very top mirror, which is a flat, and just beneath that you have a convex mirror. Let's look underneath the apparatus on the passenger side. You'll find there is illumination underneath all access points, both driver and passenger, or perimeter lighting. And as we look just up from this location here, you'll find additional step and work lights in this area. This is also the location of your battery storage. At the very top, you'll find the 2 step work lights. And let's now move into the passenger side of the vehicle. starting with the information here about some of the components in this area. Up on the very center console, you'll find a foot pedal, which is utilized for your mechanical siren. Underneath the seat, you'll find an additional storage location. To give you an idea, in this next image, you can see the foot pedal has been mounted on the left side for easily access for push with your thigh or knee. This is also the vehicle data recorder and also an alarm for audible alarms. Generalized view of the center of the console from the perspective of the passenger. Over the passenger's head, you'll find additional storage in the very top section, and you'll also find a pull cord located in the very center, which is for your dual air horns, which are located on the very front. Congratulations, Franklin County Fire District, on your new apparatus, job number 31168. If you have any questions regarding the content of this video or some of the items, please contact your Hughes Fire sales representative for more clarification. Thank you.